I'm sure that happens, sadly. We're connected, Rich.
Good. Otherwise, we could have had Kay help you.
Call meeting to order. City of Anamosa City Council agenda regular session, Monday, October 26th, 2020, 6 p.m. Anamosa Library Learning Center, also via Zoom. 1.0 roll call.
Brooke,
Here.
Smith,
Here.
Lockhart,
Here.
Capron,
Here.
Stout,
Here.
Zumba,
Here.
Noted all council members were present. 2.0 pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I must have lost my thing.
He's trying to mess us up. Rolling.
Hey, quit.
Uh,
Tucker?
Becca, would you please refresh for those that are in attendance virtually, how they can prompt you for getting attention if they would like to speak before the council?
Absolutely. So those of you who are joining us on Zoom, you can let me know that you'd like to speak in one of two ways. You can either raise your hand, which is a feature that you may not see unless you have the participant list up. If you are joining us on a computer, go ahead and on the lower part of the sort of video screen, click on participants. That should bring up a list of everybody who has joined the meeting on the right-hand side of your screen. There should be an option there called raise your hand. So just click on that whenever you are wanting to speak on a subject. If you're joining us via phone, you can raise your hand by pressing *9 or the little *9. And I will let you know when the mayor has opened it up for public comment that it is when it would be your turn, just in case we have a few people wanting to speak on a subject. The other thing you can do if you are joining on a computer or a mobile device is that you can just send me a message in the chat.
Thank you, Rebecca. 3.0 approval of agenda.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion by Rich, second by Jeff. All those in favor signify with aye.
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 Okay. Motion carries unanimous. 4.0, motion to approve the minutes from the following meeting. 4.1, October 12th, 2020, regular council meeting.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion by Rich, second by Alan. Any further discussion on those minutes that have been submitted? All those in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimous. 5.0 public hearings, none. 6.0 proclamations, none. 7.0 old business. 7.1 update on the well number 6 project. Andrew Marsh with HR Group.
Rebecca, can you unmute Andrew?
Yes.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Wonderful. Would it be possible also to share my screen, please?
Yes, you can. I just made that available.
Thank you. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes,
Yes,
Wonderful. Good evening, everyone. This is Andrew Marsh again from HR Green based in Cedar Rapids. Thank you for giving me the time to provide everyone with an update on where we're at with the well project. If you recall from a couple of meetings ago, we were faced with a little bit of a challenge because the two drinking water wells that provide water for the residents and businesses in Anamosa are, one of them is beyond its original design life and in need of replacement. And if you recall, there were some challenges with picking the appropriate site for the replacement well. If you look at the screen that I'm sharing right now, and I think you may also have a copy of this maybe in your packets, Beth and Jim wanted me to give an update to the council on how things have progressed since HR Green has been hired. So this is a draft of a preliminary plan for the new well. So to give everybody a quick update, you recall that the piece of land immediately to the west of the water treatment plant was our first choice. It was our first choice because it was close to the water plant, and the cost to bring the water from the well to the water plant would be relatively low and very simple to access since it was adjacent to the water plant. In the discussions with the city and myself and the landowner, it was decided that we were too far apart on price for that parcel and it wasn't going to work out. So our second choice for the well was Remley Woods. There are advantages and disadvantages with every site that we considered. And I just want to quickly summarize some of the advantages and disadvantages of putting the well to replace well 4 at the Remley Woods Park site. So the advantages of this site are, number one, it was the second closest site to the water plant. So it'd be the next lowest cost to get water back to the water plant. And also, it was already owned by the city. So there was no out-of-pocket expense for the park land. So that made it very attractive. There are some disadvantages with the park site. Of course, like any site, it has advantages and disadvantages, as I said. So one of the disadvantages of being on this existing park site is that much of the site is wooded, and to bring a large drill rig in to drill a well in a wooded site is going to have a little bit of a disruption, but we're trying to minimize that as best we can. I'll get into that, more of that here in a minute. The other thing that's worth noting here that we're going to need to coordinate with the city staff moving forward for this site is it's good that we have the 200 feet of legal control, but now we just have to make sure that we manage that wisely moving forward. In other words, we need to prevent any herbicides, pesticides, et cetera, from being applied within 200 feet of this well location. So we'll need to coordinate with the like the parks and maintenance staff to make sure that that doesn't happen, to protect the drinking water quality for the residents. So this is the street that goes up to your water treatment plant. This is the entrance in the lower left-hand corner of the page to your existing water treatment plant. Under these notes here is the water tower, and you can see the shadow of the existing water tower at the water plant site. And this is the existing Jordan Well 4 in the lower left-hand corner. That's the well that this well is replacing. And you notice as you look at well 4 how very close those homes are and how it's well within that 200 feet of legal control. So there's no way we could permit a new well on the water treatment plant site moving forward, because we would never get that 200 feet of legal control. So looking across the street at Remley Woods, we have a spot picked out. It's like I said, unfortunately it's in the woods a little bit, but it is 200 feet away from all of our property boundaries. It is a little bit closer, as you can tell from the existing well, it is a little bit closer at this proposed well location to the other existing well down the hill. And so we need to be cautious moving forward that when we turn this well on in the future, that cone of depression doesn't impact our other well as that draws down over time. But that's something that we think we can manage with. It's not ideal, but it's workable. So we want to take advantage of the existing entrance to the park site and add a little bit of a gravel lane. We may decide to pave that here in the future, but for now, at least it's shown as gravel. And then a place to turn around a vehicle and a place to put a drill rig in. And I wanted to be sure to point out a few things about this drawing here while we've got it up. I think there's been some concerns, certainly because of the nature of the park and the mature trees there, that we not disturb too much. And I think this draft layout shows a minimal impact on the park site, and it shows replacing some trees that do get disturbed with some new trees, and these can be placed anywhere we need to moving forward to minimize the impact. Also, key to this site plan is there does need to be a small electrical building, because we will be bringing in power to power the well pump into the site. And right now we have a roughly 20 by 30, very small electrical building there shown near the turnaround, but well off of the street, out of most of the view for people to still use the park and enjoy the park and have this out of the way. So again, we're trying to minimize the impact and minimize the disturbance of the mature trees on the park site and still fit our well in where it can be relatively close to bring water into the water treatment plant and do what we need to do. And with that, I open it up to any questions that anybody might have, but that's kind of the progress we've made on the project so far, and a good quick overview of where we're at with the site map. Any questions from the mayor or council?
Also have any questions for Andrew?
Well, Andrew, I do have one question. It's
Sure.
not a question, but maybe a thought. I was talking to somebody today and they mentioned that this building for the well house,
Yes, sir.
if we want to think about this, maybe making that roof line a little bit bigger, have a pavilion at the end of it, maybe some bathrooms, because I know at one time, I think Bryce Rickless had discussed having a walking trail from coming up through that area, that if we, long-term, if we had a walking trail, it's always nice to have some restrooms along the way, and might make that building then a multi-use building.
Sure. We can do whatever you want. More times than not, we like to keep the public away from the well equipment, so there's no opportunities for somebody to vandalize or damage the equipment. And in that case, we would consider maybe a separate building, but maybe match the architectural style if you want to have kind of a theme for the architectural theme of the park.
Okay.
But, you know, that's just one way to do it. And if we can keep it secure and keep kids out from any vandalism of the city facilities, then we can certainly entertain, you know, co-locating restroom facilities or whatnot.
So
Okay.
the Tower Road location and the water tower on William Street, they've got a fence around them. Was that in the plans or not to put a fence around this at all?
Great question. To fence or not to fence? That is the question. So there are no requirements, federal or state, to put fences around well sites. So that's totally your discretion. You know, ideally, you would put a fence around the well area to keep vandals out. That's sometimes not practical because of the location. So it's, like I said, it's entirely your discretion. You know, with that means that the fence that we put in, if there is a fence, can be whatever you want. It can be a 6-foot fence, it can be an 8-foot fence, it could be chain link, it could be made of some other material. There are no standards whatsoever. So I don't know that I answered your question, but I don't think there is an answer. It's up to you guys.
And if we did put a fence around it, 10 by 10? Or how big?
So most of the stuff at the wellhead will be below grade, so there wouldn't be much to tamper with there if you were wanting to create mischief. But there is some pretty important equipment inside this electrical building. So some folks try to put fences around the electrical building, but again, there's no requirement for that.
Being in the woods, it's going to be kind of secluded, so if somebody, some kids decided to do something stupid, it would be a fairly opportunistic spot to do it. A fence might not be a bad idea. And then with what Rich was saying about having a bathroom there, we could actually bring the fence right up to the sides of the building and just have the bathroom facility sticking out through the fence so it could be used.
Sure. And I would also add into that discussion your choice of yard lighting, because oftentimes, and I'm just a water guy, I'm not a security expert, but I can tell you that a few yard lights to keep it lit at night might keep some of the vandalism down as well.
Mhm.
Maybe lights that would just only come on when movement, when somebody came up to the fence or something. It would make them think twice.
Sure.
So just have motion detectors.
Sure.
What's the time frame once this is up and going? What's the process for retiring the well that we're replacing?
Yep. Good question. Schedule, I didn't touch on that yet. So right now we're just in the preliminary design stage and just kind of running this draft past you all to make sure that this is a agreeable direction for everybody. Beth and Jim thought it was important to touch base with the mayor and council because we know this is an important project for you all. If everything looks good here, we will proceed with the preliminary design around this location. And then as we finalize the plans in the coming months, after that, we will need a permit from the DNR. After the permit, we'll go out to bids for a few weeks, get bids, select a contractor, and then go through construction. Construction for a project of this size can take in the neighborhood of a year. So I think realistically, now that we're in pre-design, I would call it, we're probably in the neighborhood of about a year and a half out. And once the new well is started up and commissioned and working properly, then we can start to decommission the well 4. And there would be no reason to run this older well anymore after that. Good question.
Okay. And remind me where well 4 is. I'm new to this.
Can you guys see my cursor right here? In the lower left-hand corner? There's
Right across.
a little rectangular building. It's on the left-hand side as you're entering into the water treatment plant site, inside the gate.
Is the wellhead inside this new building, or is it like the well 4 is, or is it out away from?
It's been a while since I've been out to this site, but I believe it's inside. I believe it's accessed through a hatch in the roof, if I remember right.
Did you say?
I was asking about well 6. Well 4, I know, is inside that building.
Yep.
And
Oh, will the new well? Okay, so the new well will be just the wellhead will be outside. We make them slightly different now, and it would be outside.
So it'd be like well 5 then.
Similar.
Andrew, I received a few public inquiries. Could you clarify what drives to shut down well 4 on the 50-year plan? Is that governmental requirements?
Good question. So why do we need to replace well 4? It is over 50 years old, and that is past the design life of the materials and equipment that make up that well. So there are moving parts with the pump that can be replaced and updated, but there are not moving parts like the casing and the screen that are below ground, hundreds of feet below ground, that have gone past their design life. So there's things like corrosion and deterioration of those subsurface metal components that really are beyond their design life. So it's not a federal or state requirement, but it will fail eventually, and 50 years is definitely on the upper end of the scale, and I would say that the city and its residents have definitely gotten their money's worth from that existing infrastructure. And I don't know if it's always a good analogy or not, but you know, most of us don't drive cars that are over 50 years old. And so expecting this well to run all day, every day, being 50 years old, sure, the pump and motor have been replaced over that 50 years. I'm not trying to make that argument, but there are parts of this that are original to the well that are over 50 years old that are just well beyond its design life. And you can only do so much to extend the life before you just have to ultimately replace it.
Thank you.
You bet.
Are there any other questions for Andrew from the council? Rebecca, is any public question or comments?
I don't see any right now.
There's no action on this. It was just a.
Nope, just an update for the mayor and council.
Well, thank you, Andrew, for bringing us up to speed on where the project is and what will be needed as we venture forward.
You bet. My pleasure. Have a good evening, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, you too. 8.0, new business. 8.1, resolution approving engagement with Attorney John Fry for purchase of specific real estate.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Rich, second by Kay to approve. Any further discussion? Any public comment? It's roll vote.
Capron,
Yes.
Stout,
Yes.
Crump,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Lockhart,
Yes.
Zumba,
Motion to approve carried unanimous. 8.2, resolution approving purchase offer for proposed purchase of real estate from Interstate Power and Light Company, its successors.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Rich, second by Kay. Council discussion?
Do we know the approximate square footage of this small piece?
so it's where the substation was and then that other piece around it.
Okay, so just a real small square around that substation.
It's a little bit larger, but yeah, and mainly it's for the location of the flow equalization tank
Okay.
rather than putting it on the other side of wastewater. Rebecca, can you see if John is on?
I don't see anybody labeled John on here. Somebody has called in and there is somebody just labeled iPhone, but beyond that, I don't know.
So, questions related to 8.2 from the council? Is there any public comment, Rebecca?
There is not.
This is the second roll vote for the night.
Smith,
Yes.
Lockhart,
Yes.
Zumba,
Yes.
Stout,
Yes.
Capron.
Yeah.
Crump,
Yes.
Motion to approve carried unanimous. 8.3, resolution approving the final plat of Meadow Ridge 9th edition.
Move to approve.
Rich, second by Alan. Further discussion? Beth, can we just note what zoning this actually was?
This is the residential.
Yeah, it's so single, or can it be like the townhouse? Doesn't that require a special residential zone?
Well, it's residential. It'd be like R1, R2.
R1, R2, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think 1 through 5 can be like condo multi.
Right.
thing.
I think maybe Country Club's the only one that has just single family. You might be able to see it on that map too.
Any questions? Any public comment? Roll vote.
Lockhart,
Yes.
Zumba,
Yes.
Stout,
Yes.
Capron,
Yeah.
Crump,
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Motion to approve carried unanimous. 8.4, resolution approving the final plat of Meadow Ridge 10th edition.
Move to approve.
Motion by Rich, second by Al. Council discussion. Public comment.
You're fine, Bruce.
This is a roll vote.
Zumba,
Yes.
Stout,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Crump,
Yes.
Lockhart,
Yes.
Capron,
Motion carried unanimous. 8.5, resolution approving the final plat of Country Club 2nd edition.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Jeff, second by Rich. Any further discussion? Any public comment? Roll vote.
Stout,
Yes.
Crump,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Lockhart,
Yes.
Capron,
Yeah.
Zumba,
Yes.
Motion to approve carried unanimous. 8.6, resolution setting date for public hearing on urban renewal plan amendment.
I'll make a motion to set a public hearing for November 23rd at 6 PM at the Anamosa Library and Learning Center.
Second.
Motion by Rich, second by Kay to set the public date for the public hearing on November 23rd, 6 PM here at the Anamosa Library and Learning Center. Any further discussion? Any public comment? And this is also a roll vote.
Zumba,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Capron,
Yeah.
Stout,
Yes.
Crump,
Yes.
Lockhart,
Yes.
Motion to approve setting the public date carried unanimous. 8.7, renewal of liquor license, Tucker's Tavern.
Move to approve.
Move.
Second.
I did not, was that you, Galen?
It was me.
Motion by Jeff, second by Kay. Any further discussion? Public comment? All those in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion to approve carries unanimous. 8.8, renewal of liquor license, Deb Sports Bar.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve by Kay, second by Alan. Any further discussion? Any public comment? All those in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimous. 8.9, review and approval of current.
Move to approve.
Sounds like we got an A vote in the other
Somebody
end.
didn't like that. We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Rich, second by John to approve the bills as they were submitted. Is there any further discussion or comment regarding the bills before us this evening?
I just have a couple comments / questions. That pressure washer, I'm guessing that Parks and Rec
was it rental?
is rental.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, for that much, if we're gonna do it every year, we might think about just buying one and use it for different departments, because for a little bit more, you could probably buy the same one they rented.
Yeah.
My other question was just, what concrete got replaced by Fairview Concrete? Do you know what that was for $780? Number 66013.
It was actually part of that where they replaced the water line by Tucker's.
Oh,
was-
sidewalk in there.
Right, yeah.
Any additional questions? All those in favor of paying the bills as submitted signify with aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion approved. Motion to approve carried unanimous. 9.0, city administrators report.
So I've been working on the website. We're close. I'm thinking this week, or maybe not by the end of this week, but maybe next week we'll launch it. Just a couple of things were missing, so I've had some calls in to get those fixed before we launch. We're still working on the FEMA and the COVID reimbursement claims. They're both moving along. They seem to ask for a lot more documents every day, but we're finding them so far. I should have the budget calendar ready for the next meeting, so we can start planning that. Just so we have dates and kind of the format and how we're gonna schedule the department presentations. Hopefully we'll have a department head meeting before the next meeting, so we can kind of plan that out too and get the worksheets out. Let's see. The annual financial report will be on the next agenda. It is done. Still working on the book report. That's it. Unless you have any questions.
Just gonna ask the council, do you have any questions?
No question, but one thing I was thinking today, because about this budget, is we need to make sure that our department heads understand that they may be hearing a lot of no's from the city council. That we've got an awful lot of expenditures coming up this coming year, and that they need to be kind of frugal and careful on what they spend their money on this year for sure, this coming year. That being said, other than that, I have nothing, but kind of think that might be something they might want to prepare for.
Anyone else? Questions for Bob?
Did you say first meeting in November we'll have hotel motel
Yes.
information? Okay.
I haven't seen it come through yet, but I'm expecting it the end of this month.
Okay.
Hopefully it's good.
10.0, mayor and council reports. 10.1, mayor's report. No report at this time. 10.2, council reports.
Library board met this last week. We discussed the levy that will be on the ballot in 21 and approved the purchase of some Zoom equipment for the library. So when it's installed, everyone will have his or her microphone. And so if you're on Zoom, you will really be able to hear what people say. I'm excited.
Thanks, Kay, for that update. Any other council reports? 11.0, public comments for items not on the agenda.
Just a reminder, and I do see someone new just joined us. If you're wanting to speak on this agenda item, you can either raise your hand or you can send me a chat. And I don't see anything coming in.
With that then, 12.0 adjourned.
Move to approve.
Second.
By Rich, second by Jeff. to approve. All those in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Nay. Motion carried unanimously. you, everyone, for coming out this evening.